Hello and welcome back. It's your girl Mabis, Authentic Mabis on YouTube and Mabis on Facebook, Mabis on TikTok. Again, we continue with the reading for Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart. And I would be reading from chapter 9. For the first time in 3 nights, Okonkwo slept. He woke up once in the middle of the night and his mind went back to the past 3 days without making him feel uneasy. He began to wonder why he had felt uneasy at all. It was like a man wandering in broad daylight why a dream had appeared so terrible to him at night. He stretched himself and scratched his thigh where a mosquito had bitten him as he slept. Another one was wailing near his right ear. He slapped the ear and hoped he had killed it. Why do they always go for one's ears? When he was a child, his mother told him his story about it, but it was as silly as all women's stories. Mosquito, she had said, had asked Ear to marry him, whereupon Ear fell on the floor in uncontrollable laughter. How much longer do you think you will live? She asked. You are already a skeleton. Mosquito went away humiliated, and at any time he passed her way, he told Ear that he was still alive. Okonkwo turned on his side and went back to sleep. He was roused in the morning by someone banging on his door. Who was that? He growled. He knew it must be Achebe. Of his 3 wives, Achebe was the only one who would have done the audacity to bang on his door. Ezima is dying, came her voice, and all the tragedy and sorrow of her life were packed in those words. Okonkwo sprang from his bed, pushed back the bolt on his door, and ran into Achebe's hut. Ezima lay shivering on the mat beside a huge fire that her mother had kept burning all night. It is Iba, said Okonkwo as he took his machete and went into the bush to collect the leaves and grasses and the barks of trees that went into making the medicine for Iba. Achebe knelt beside the sick child, occasionally feeling with her palm the wet, burning forehead. Ezima was an only child and the center of her mother's world. Very often it was Ezima who decided what food her mother would prepare. Achebe even gave her such delicacies as eggs, which children were rarely allowed to eat because such food tempted them to steal. One day, as Ezima was eating an egg, Okonkwo had come in unexpectedly from his hut. He was greatly shocked and swore to beat Achebe if she dared to give the child eggs again. But it was impossible to refuse Ezima anything. After her father's rebuke, she developed an even keener appetite for eggs, and she enjoyed above all the secrecy in which she now ate them. Her mother always took her into their bedroom and shut the door. Ezima did not call her mother Ne like all the other children. She called her by her name, Achebe, as her father and other grown-up people did. The relationship between them was not only that of mother and child. There was something in it The relationship between them was not only that of mother and child. There was something in it like the companionship of equals, which was strengthened by such little conspiracies as eating eggs in the bedroom. Achebe had suffered a good deal in her life. She had borne 10 children and 9 of them had died in infancy, usually before the age of 3. As she buried one child after another, her sorrow gave way to despair and then to grim resignation. The birth of her children should be a woman's crowning glory, became for Achebe mere physical agony, devoid of promise. The naming ceremony after 7 market weeks became an empty ritual. Her deepening despair found expression in the names she gave her children. One of them was a pathetic cry. Onwumbiko, death, I implore you. But death took no notice. Onwumbiko died in his 15th month. The next child was a girl. Ozuemena. May it not happen again. She died in her 11th month, and the 2 others after her. Ekwefi then became defiant and called her next child Unuoma. Death may please himself, and he did. After the death of Ekwefi's second child, Okonkwo had gone to a medicine man who was also a diviner of the Afa oracle to inquire what was amiss. This man told him that the child was an Ogbanje, one of those wicked children who, when they died, entered the mother's wombs to be born again. When your wife becomes pregnant again, he said, let her not sleep in her hut. Let her go and stay with her people. In that way, she would elude her wicked tormentor and break its evil cycle of birth and death. Ekwefi did as she was asked. As soon as she became pregnant, she went to live with her old mother in another village. It was there that her 3rd child was born and circumcised on the 8th day. She did not return to Okonkwo's compound until 3 days before the naming ceremony. The child was named Onwumbiko. Onwumbiko was not given proper burial when he died. Okonkwo had called in another medicine man who was famous in the clan for his great knowledge about Ogbanje children. His name was Achebe Uyanwa. Achebe was a very striking figure, tall with a full beard and a bald head. He was light in complexion and his eyes were red and fiery. He always gnashed his teeth as he listened to those who came to consult him. He asked Okonkwo a few questions about the dead child. All the neighbors and relations who had come to mourn gathered round him. On what market day was it born? He asked. Oye, replied Okonkwo. And it died this morning? Okonkwo said yes, and only then realized for the first time that the child had died on the same market day as it had been born. The neighbors and relations also saw the coincidence and said amongst themselves that it was very significant. Where do you sleep with your wife, in your obi or in her hut? Asked the medicine man. In her hut. In the future, call her into your obi. The medicine man then ordered that there should be no mourning for the dead child. He brought out a sharp razor from the goat skin bag slung from his left shoulder and began to mutilate the child. Then he took it away to bury it in the evil forest, holding it by the ankle and dragging it on the ground behind him. After such treatment, it would think twice before coming again, unless it was one of the stubborn ones who returned carrying the stamp of their mutilation, a missing finger or perhaps a dark line where the medicine man's razor had cut them.